Hey, welcome to MNFT Freedom, episode number 5. My name is Scott, and with me, as always, is Rochelle Young. Hey,
Yeah,
Rochelle, how you doing today?
I am good. We made it. Episode 5.
Right?
Consistency. Yeah, episode 5. Episode 5. Pretty
Before we
excited.
know it, I'm excited. I'm always excited.
Yeah, it doesn't take you much though, Scott. It doesn't take you much to be excited, right? You just have that bubbly personality. I
Yeah,
forget motivated.
bubbly.
That bubbly personality.
Yes, that
That
Megan said that is the first time anyone's ever called me bubbly.
really? No, you greet us with a charming smile.
Well,
Hey, I meant to tell you the new music intro kind of puts me in the mood of damn it, I was just at the tip of my tongue. Senior citizen moment. The X Files. The X Files. You remember the X Files intro?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Ah,
so if I didn't tell you, I actually did that track. You
you
know, that,
created that.
yeah, that's all me.
All
Uh,
right. What's that?
Everything, and it was just something to get it going for now. I'm still working on finding a better track, kind of like the original one that we're not allowed to use,
I know, right? Freaking
because
music.
that one was pretty awesome. I like that
I
one.
like it for the people, right? It's for the people
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so with that, we'll develop that as we move along and grow. But episode 5, what are we talking about tonight, Rochelle?
I think we could talk a little bit about everything, right? Mostly motivation now. Mostly
Hmm.
motivation. Lots
Yep.
of big things in the news, but we kind of tend to stay away from that. But um, AI is popping off, right? We
Yep.
got to talk about that as a
Yeah.
business owner. Like, how AI is really beginning to be a tool that you can utilize to build, right?
Hmm.
That's the way I'm looking at it. How AI for an average individual that wants to create a business, that wants to start planning for the future in terms of finance, and how they go about doing that. AI could be probably one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And that goes with motivation, I think, too, because um, there's so much I hate doing. Right? Come on, find me a business owner that says, "Hey, I love doing it all." Right?
Right.
Have my
Mm.
job. Right?
Nope, not at all.
Not at
Not at
all.
all.
We don't like doing it all. We don't like doing it all. So I think it's a really interesting time to not only be alive, but also to build. Right? And here's the thing that I want people listening to understand. When we talk about AI, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we're not talking about really complicated stuff.
Hmm.
This could be broken down as simple as utilizing a budgeting tool, quotes. If that's how you start your day, because a lot of people are more and more into there's a word for it. What is it? Herbal wellness.
Hmm.
And you talk about inspiration or frequency or vibrations and all these other things that help get us motivated to tackle the day.
Yeah.
um, AI can be a big part of that too. So now we're seeing it tapping over into so many different sectors because it's no longer Terminator coming at you, right?
Right. Well, you never know. You never know, right? What was that Will Smith movie with the robots?
Hey, I'm all for it. And I think Megan will fully agree with me here. If I could have it clean the house, prepare meals, and do the laundry, do all the stuff that I still have to do as a human being just to get through the day. And sometimes that's not even getting through the day. This is after your 8 hours of work or 10 hours of work or 12 hours of work, right? Imagine
Mhm.
coming home and then have to cook. You know, I mean,
Yep.
I don't know about you, Scott. I'm just saying I might squirrel away a few nuts to get
Right.
me one of those, right?
Right. And that would be fantastic. Um, there it is, Sugar Plum, iRobot. That's what it was.
Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. It was these androids that had artificial intelligence to learn your routines and to help you out, and then all of a sudden they decided they wanted to try and take over the world. But no, I think AI is very is going to be a vital part of the future. It's going to be able to be non-biased and predict things that leaves human emotion out, right? So, like you were saying with your finances, we all have some kind of a passion when it comes to something. We may be out and we know we shouldn't be spending it, but it's like that one item is just calling to me and saying, yes, I should get that. Where you have that AI just telling you, hey, no, that's off the table.
Oh, we're
Please,
getting that no friend. We're gonna get
no friend. It's
that.
your perfect no friend.
The
Um,
perfect no friend. Okay.
your perfect no friend. But yeah, I mean, uh, I think motivation, going back to that, it takes a little bit to get us motivated, right?
Okay.
I mean, for me, if I mean, I could just totally zone out and just stop altogether and, just not want to do anything. And I have to pick myself up and do something, right?
Yeah.
And, by doing that, and it's not even just by saying, yeah, I'm going to do it, because that's not really what motivation is. Motivation is a mindset that pretty much tells you that, or not tells you, but it gives you uh, almost like an adrenaline rush when you complete a task that you were motivated to do, right? And one example I can give is, Megan and I have been doing 2 workouts a day every day since New Year's, and we've done this before, and I always come home, or I always look at it as like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. But after we're done, I feel great, right? It's just that adrenaline rush that comes through me, and makes me gives me that feeling that says, okay, it's worth doing. And the next time when it's like, I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it because I want that same feeling again.
Mm.
But I mean, that's aside of the fact of, what we're talking about with finances, because, with finances, you have to get motivated, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
don't
you
think
know,
I don't think it's a I don't think it needs to be separated that way, to be quite honest, Scott. I think when you talk about the adrenaline rush, and you talk about, I think it's endorphins they're called.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep.
Um it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is that we choose to get ourselves motivated for, because um, it's the same emotions, and it is the same reward
Right.
that the body physically gets. All right. So if you're a day trader, for example, and you've got this just really cool AI that you utilize, right?
Mhm,
Um, throughout your day for trading, and you see those little pennies stack up, right? That's exciting. That's an
yep.
adrenaline rush. So I think what scares people is anytime you say finance,
Yep.
right? So we could actually have this entire conversation about motivation, and it could be about absolutely anything. And the minute we say the trigger word, finance is like, oh no, they didn't want me. No, no.
Yep.
We're so you know, we're so ingrained, we're so programmed, to one, not to talk about it,
Yep.
right? Um, two, to secretly hunger for it, right?
Hmm.
And three, feel not in control of it,
Right.
right? So I think when we talk about being able to motivate yourself, where finances are concerned, I think we take the word finance out, and we play a little trick with ourselves, right? So maybe it is motivate yourself to step outside of your comfort zone,
Right.
um, and always starting with the end goal in mind. So for me, I'm an introvert. I can get up here on camera and talk to you all day long. I'll get up in a Twitter space and talk to you all day long. I'm not stepping foot outside my house. Not stepping foot outside my house. But what if for me the motivation can be, okay? Um, you know, let's do a tour next year,
Hmm.
right? Let's do a tour
Yep.
next year. So what's that motivation to get me to go beyond my comfort zone? Now it's become something different, right? Because we're not talking about the F word. We're not talking about finance. Right now we're thinking, oh, that could be exciting. Well, why can't you do the same with finance? Because finance is what gets you there, right?
Hmm.
I think it's demystifying the F word so that people really can put themselves, as you said, in the mindset to create the motivation necessary for them to achieve the end goal in mind.
Yep. Absolutely. And you know what? You're so right. Let's just not say the F word again. Instead, we'll substitute. Let's substitute bubblegum. All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So
Here we
tonight we're going to talk about bubblegum, and you know, and how we can gain
go.
a better bubblegum future.
Yeah, I
Huh?
like that. Bubblegum future. Now, what's the price of bubblegum increase? Because it's not financial advice, guys. We are not saying bubblegum is the way to go.
Oh, look at this.
Let's make that list. Let's make that list. When we say bubblegum futures, we're only using it as a reference point. People, please don't go buy bubblegum, okay? Get us in trouble.
Yomi, how are you doing?
I just can't deal with y'all. I should have never like tuned in. I should have just avoided it. You
Oh,
cannot say AI around me. You can't do it. You can't bring that topic up. I
oh, say
just
hi to Dr. Tammy too. Hi, Dr. Tammy.
Yeah. And Chip, I saw him in the chat. Hey,
Oh, hi,
Chip.
Chip. Sorry, guys.
Uh,
Go
so
ahead.
we were just talking about bubblegum, Yomi, and why don't you share how AI can help us with our bubblegum
Bubblegum
future?
futures.
but okay, I see I had to run and get my headset so I could join in. So I missed the bubblegum reference. So what were
So
you saying in regards to bubblegum?
so we are no longer saying the word finance. Instead, we are replacing it with the word bubblegum
Why?
Because
because
finance is a target word.
Y-
it's it scares people away.
It
We were
does.
just talking about it, so we feel like if we use bubblegum in replacement, it'll make people
More
feel a little
comfortable.
bit at ease.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if people need it, then they can utilize it. I'm gonna just leave it like it is. I don't.
Ooh. You want me
I'm
to
gonna
put
leave
it
it
on the
like it
business?
is. I'm not gonna. I don't need it to be sugar coated because it's not, and it's not gonna be something easy. And bubblegum to me is gonna make it soft, and it's not soft. I don't need you to be soft. I need you to be
Ooh.
hard with this. So no, I mean, I mean, I'm just saying this is me now. This is me. I'm gonna leave it at finance. I'm gonna leave it at what it is.
I hear you, but what if it's sugar-free bubblegum?
I don't like sugar free bubblegum.
I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm just trying to keep it
I'm not
fun.
even gonna waste my time. No, I'm not gonna waste my time with sugar free. I don't do sugar free nothing.
I
So,
do like. I do admire how Yomi likes it though. She likes it straight with no chaser. But the
yep.
truth
Mhm.
is, as we continue to do these shows, and this just plays to human nature, right? And that's what we're talking about. How each of us through our experiences can help each other create the wealth that we want. So if I said, "Hey, Friday night, it's wine and chocolate," we'd have a packed house.
Let's do it.
We would have an absolute packed house if I said Friday nights, it's wine and chocolate versus Friday night, let's talk about your finances. I'm like, no, I got plans. My
Yep.
plans got plans. I don't know what kind of plans. Well, my plans got plans. I ain't showing up, right?
Yep.
I ain't because it's not sexy.
Yep.
It's not sexy. We've been so programmed to just have that innate fear of finance because it all hits us, I think, for me, the same, right? Because immediately is that lack of control. It's
Right.
a commodity that we need, and it's a commodity that we have to attain. And those things are often so difficult that as human beings, we tend to shy away from the difficult stuff. So my suggestion was replacing the word finance with bubblegum. And for you, you don't need that chaser yummy, but what if to get someone motivated to do the things necessary to help create that end goal in mind for them. Maybe it can be as simple as taking the word finance and replacing it with something that the minute you think of it, immediately releases that endorphin feeling, right? So it could be Elmo, right? Elmo, I mean, I think of Elmo and I giggle, right? There's or if you're looking at the TikTok one and it's the Elmo that cuss. Have you ever seen that one? The Elmo that cusses, he cracks me up, right? But it can, I guess that the whole point of it being, it's how we can utilize everyday tools, um, such as motivating ourselves, word replacement, really building the mindset necessary to help create the end goal in mind. Does that
Yep.
make sense?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And and trying to keep it light and fun, you almost have to, because a lot of times when we do talk about finance and you are referring to your own personal situation, it can be depressing. You know, it
I'm
can
depressed
be,
every day.
yeah, it can be upsetting. It can be, thinking that, I'm this deep in, nothing's going to change. But it's just a matter of changing your outlook on things and your mindset and your motivation to do what you need to get to where you want to be. And saying that sounds easy, and it's not by any means.
Yeah.
It may be a multi-year endeavor, but you also have to take into account that during that period, it's not all, just living, on ramen noodles and water. It's, treating yourself occasionally to give yourself a reward to help you, progress and move on. Right. So like you hit that first goal, whatever that first goal is that you set in your steps towards, whatever that is. Right. And you hit that first goal. So you have to treat yourself. You have to do something. It may not be something that costs money. It may be something like, going and spending, a day with a friend and just hanging out and having laughs and a good time, and then you go back to the grind, until you hit that next step in your target. And that one might be, instead of just hanging out, now you're going out to dinner with your friends, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be, going and buying something that you really, really want, if, uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if there's like, a hoodie or, a pair of shoes or whatever, yeah, it's just treating yourself along the way so you're not depriving yourself. Because if you keep depriving yourself to hit your goals, you're not going to find value in it,
Yeah.
and you're not going to have a
Resentment.
decent quality of life, right?
Yeah.
You
Resentment.
want, right?
I wish we had Dr. Tammy up on the panel, because here's something that I experienced this week that um, was really, really different. Like, I was going down the expenses and this is something I have to do for the business, right? Um, and I was scared.
Hmm.
I kid you not. And listen, I love to push that subscribe button. Love to hit that subscribe. Love to hit that min button. Um, but I was scared to sit down and take a hard look at the expenses that I have for the business, which is weird because I don't have a problem doing it for my personal self, right? The stuff that I spend my money on, because it's my money. I work for it. I'll spend on whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
For the business, I almost have that fear, like, who, you know, I need, it's like you have just been so trained that you can't start the business off in red, but eventually that's where you have to start, kind of, right? And so for me, I'm like, okay, we've got the website, I've got these expenses, I've got that expenses, and I'm like, I need to get a handle on it so
Hmm.
I know what's outgoing, because I don't have anything coming in yet for the business. So I never thought about fear being a barrier to entry for setting
Yep.
financial goals, because it starts with our budgeting, right? So and please don't leave me feeling alone here, guys. Like I know there's somebody else that feels like I do, that your biggest, you tell yourself, okay, it's 2023, I'm gonna jump on in. I'm taking that trip to Japan next year. I'm going to set this budget. I'm going to set this goal. You get to sit down, and then you're like, no, I don't really want to see where it's all going.
Right.
There's this fear. because somehow there's some repercussions that come with that. Maybe a sense of shame, maybe a sense of guilt, whatever it is. We haven't talked about fear being a barrier to setting a budget and financial freedom.
Yep. And there's a lot to be afraid of. We are all kind of set in our ways, right? We go through that same daily routine day in and day out. We get up, we do the same things to get ready to start our day. We go to the day job, we do, for the most part, the same things all day at the day job. We come home, we get into this groove, and to make a change in that groove is difficult,
Mm.
but and I think we talked about this last week. It is, taking baby steps, one step at a time, so it might not be, you know, changing your whole day, but changing one thing, so instead of uh, going and stopping and buying a cup of coffee in the morning, right? Maybe making the coffee at home and taking it with you. And that's that one step. And you do that for so long until that becomes the daily tradition, right?
Yeah.
And then, after that, it might be, you're going out to lunch and, during the day rather than packing lunch. So maybe, 1 or 2 days out of the week, instead of going out, you pack lunch and you do it the same days every week so that, it becomes a routine, and you gradually break your original routine into a new routine and a more cost effective routine that allows you to have funds free to utilize for other purposes, whether it's just having a little nest egg aside for an emergency, or it's starting your investment strategy, or it's saving for a major purchase, whatever that may be. And I did want to just send a shout out to Dr. Tammy. She did say it's important to use the word or another money word: wealth, wealth building, wealth plan, etc. We engage in finance every day.
So no bubblegum futures, Dr. Tammy? No
I'm sticking with
bubblegum.
bubblegum. I'm
Yeah.
sticking with bubblegum.
I don't know. Scott is all in on bubblegum there, Dr. Tammy.
So yeah, so we'll just start substituting different things for we just need to come up with a different name for money. What are we going to call money? We'll leave
Yeah.
that one up for Yomi.
Yep. Yep.
Yomi, what do we call money?
Crystals.
I can work with the wealth. I can work
Ooh,
with
I
that.
like that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
can work with that.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
But
It just,
I'm not gonna call it bubblegum.
yeah, it just sounds so much better. But you know what? Who says it has to be big changes? And here's something else that you can help take a look at making these changes from. You, because I could tell you, working in Manhattan, right? Um, we get out. I have an hour lunch. 15 to 20 minutes of that is standing in line to buy lunch.
Yep.
Then I'm wolfing my food down, and then I'm irritated because I've had no time away and I'm back at the grind, right? Have you considered the time? I can't find the right word for it, but maybe the amount of time you save by packing a lunch. So it's not so much of, oh my god, I have to study these finances, right? So I can't buy lunch today. I have to take lunch. Maybe it's about, right? I packed my lunch today. That means my entire 60 minutes is all mine, and
Yep.
I could sit across from bistro that I normally go buy lunch at and laugh at the fools standing in line while I eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Right? Right? Because now I'm admiring my great time management skills, right? Like
Yep.
I could take that hit. Maybe just that one day a week, I could take that hit and go, man, because now I don't feel rushed. I had an opportunity to de-stress a little bit from the job. And so I go back. Now my attitude is a little bit healthier because I had time to eat, enjoy my lunch, maybe catch up on some personal things that I can't do on the job. Right. And so I go back with a healthier mindset. So maybe it's a combination of all these things that we're talking about. And as you see, we're just exploring these subjects all together. Um, I don't think there is one set way to do things. I've been down well this week, and my time has been really, really limited, just because I have to be focused on healthy body, healthy mind,
Yep.
healthy job, right? They all go together for me. And so when I sat down, like that fear man to write down those expenses, so so I broke it down. So instead of sitting there, listing all of my fears on paper, right? Because it's all these subscriptions that I gotta make sure I can pay for. I went with just recording one a day. So maybe sometimes it's not about when you, because I think budgeting is the hardest thing to start with.
Yes.
Knowing where your money is going, it's like, because I think for some of us, we deliberately don't want to know. We don't want to know if the bank account is positive $1. Hey, we're celebrating that win. We're celebrating that win, right?
Yep.
And we don't want to know, because there's a sense of maybe frustration that if we do know, again, going back to control, right? So maybe it's about, okay, so today I'll write down this much of my budget. And so
Yep.
maybe it's also breaking it down in stages. Like, again, you take any of these master classes on wealth creation, or you pay for any of these things that tells you how to create wealth, how to build wealth, how to maintain wealth. Um, and it's all telling you that this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. The truth is, it's not, what works for you may not necessarily work for me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
sometimes I kind of need it broken down, in a format, into bite-sized pieces that's doable to my life.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It does. And that's a good point that you made, is everybody is different. So, you might already make your coffee at home and do, whatever it is, but it could be something else. It could be, you know, well, everyone's unique, right? Everyone has their own unique things that they do as daily habits, or daily rituals, or daily, whatever you want to call it. Just your standard routine that you go through on a daily basis. Take a look at that and see, for you personally, what can you, just say, okay, well, I could substitute this, and that would allow me to free up X amount of dollars. And let me try that, one day a week, or let me try that 2 days a week. Or if you're brave and, want to do it every day, and just do that abrupt change, give it a try, see if that affects you, see how it affects you. It might be something that you realize after a week or two that, wow, I can do this without that. That's great. And then you can move on to something else. Um, one of the things that I do with my budget is I round everything up. So if I have, a utility bill that is, $100.36, it is $101 on my books, right? So no matter what, that little chunk of change that I'm over accounting for is adding up on, the bank ledger, but it's in my personal budget. I don't know it's there. It's gone. And
Yeah.
at the end of the year, I go and I look, I'm like, oh, look, I managed to, just by rounding up to an even dollar, I managed to, accrue X amount of dollars for the year. And it does add up, and when you see that, then you start saying, okay, well, you know what, I'm just going to add it up, to 1 plus 5, right? And you get in the habit of doing it. And if you don't see it on your ledger or on your personal balance, you don't think it's there, although it is sitting there in your bank. And at the end of the year, or whenever you get your bank statement, it's like, oh, snap, I have an extra $30 in my wallet that I didn't know I had.
There was a bank. I'm trying to remember if it's Bank of America or TD Bank. I can't remember. There's one of the banks that actually do that.
Acorn.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Acorn.
I
Yep.
knew I that commercial kind of sounded kind of familiar, right? And but it
Yep.
works.
Yep.
It
And
absolutely works. That portion away of, because we think that way, right? Like I round the numbers up. I don't pay 136. I'm not paying you $100.36. I'm paying you 101. This is what I do, right? I'm pay 101.
Yep.
And it's a strategy that I utilized for my electric bill, because where I lived before, my light bill during the summer was about $92. My
Mm-hmm.
light bill during the winter averaged about $800 to $900 a month, because I had electric heat and it was a big house,
Yep.
right? So what did I do? Of course, I didn't just pay the $92 during the summer. I dollar cost average, and I paid that throughout the year. And why did I do it that way? Because the penalties that they put in place when you carry the balance forward, and it didn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but this is just me going, I'm not giving you more money than I have to, right? That
Mm-hmm.
I have a pet peeve for late payments. I don't know if anybody else is like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, oh man, I am not paying you late because you ain't about to get my $5, right?
Right.
So I had that strategy where on average, I was saving maybe 2 to 3%, which is considerable, on a
Yep.
light bill like that, on an electric bill like that for the year, right? So by doing it as a dollar cost average, where I wasn't paying just what the bill was due that month, I'm spreading it out over the 12 months and compensating for when it was lower and paying more. I saved
Mm-hmm.
on average 2 to 3%. So there are ways that you can take a healthy look at where your money's going, and start small. Like if
Yep.
the overall task seems really overwhelming, start small. And it's the same thing for the motivation. Maybe the motivation is not about money for you. Maybe it's time management.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's time management, why don't you think about it that way, right? On average, the time that we spend um, waiting to place that coffee order, waiting to buy lunch, waiting for dinner, all of these other things that we're waiting for. Remember, time is the one commodity you can't get back.
Right.
Right? It is the one currency that you spend. Once you spend it, it's gone. Could never earn it back, could never get it back. So maybe for you, it's about how you efficiently manage your time. And you could do that by going, man, you know what? On Wednesdays, I'm just gonna take my lunch because I need it's my stress day. So I
Mm-hmm.
need that hour, right? I need that hour. Or maybe it's I park the car that day and take the bus, because now that just gives me an extra 45 minutes to take a nap on the train or bus or whatever, right? So it's all of these little things I think that you can utilize to help create that wealth. Who says wealth has to be finance? Because I don't think it has to be that.
Yep. It doesn't. And, you're 100% right. We are limited to the amount of time that we get. We don't know when that time will end, but, that's the one thing there's not an abundance of. Everything else there is. So you do have to take advantage of that and do the best things for yourself to embrace the time that you have.
Mm.
Right. One of the things that one of the things that I never really got was, retirement. Yeah, I know we all talk about it. We all want to get to that point, but when you look at the people that are retiring, and especially with, how they're raising the retirement age,
Mm.
the last couple of years, right? Because people are living longer. I mean, what are you going to be able to do at 70 years old? Are you going to be able to do the same things you can do at 40 or
Order prune
45
juice on
or
DoorDash.
50? What's that?
Order prune juice on DoorDash.
You're laughing.
Well,
Don't.
I mean, at 70, what are you doing? You're ordering prune juice on DoorDash. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, right. You're you're taking care of your constitution. But you know that's what I never got is why do people work their entire lives and struggle and go through everything for that end goal of retirement, when at retirement all the things that they could have done when they were in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, now they're at an age where it might not be safe to do, right? you know, or they may not be allowed to do because of health issues, that have arisen from overdue stress on the body or just stress in general. So,
And then
but
you're at a point where you've worked so hard. Um, but again, I think it's about programming, to be honest. You're absolutely correct, crypto. 40s is the new 30s. That's
yep,
why I love this year I will be 51. Um, and I felt like that 50 needed to be that benchmark where now I no longer give, right? Like I have zeros to give, right?
right,
Um, but mostly because I think um I've gained a new understanding and appreciation for the wealth of knowledge that's available. Being a fan of it, and really getting to a point where I feel like I'm now in adulthood, if that makes sense. I literally now feel like I'm in adulthood, right? And really beginning to understand my value as an employee, my value as an employer, and my value as a good citizen, and
mm,
what all of those things mean for me. So long it's always what was based on the value for everyone else. Now it's about what that value is for me, right? And that value for me says, you know, at 51, these are what the things that I'd like to have accomplished this year, right? I really do want to have a better handle on the subscriptions that I pay for. I just have too many of them that kind of seem redundant. I want to
yep,
streamline that process, right? I want to find something that provides the value for me overall and my business that still gives me the end result that I need without as much as the cost, right?
mm,
So that's something that, and that's not something that you can just do overnight. That it requires a little bit of research because there's so many things that I utilize some of these services for. Be nice to have it all in one place. So it means I have to take some time taking a look at what's out there, but it's also about not being afraid to try something new,
yep,
right?
yep,
And I think for a lot of people, that's where we tend to get stuck as we get older. We like the familiar. Well, I've
mm,
always done it this way,
yep,
right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way, right? I've always banked with this bank. Not if they're not giving you the best rate,
right,
right? I've always gotten my coffee here. Not if they're charging you $10 a cup, right? you
yeah,
know, I mean, it's also about the ability to understand. Um, we change, our needs change.
yep,
And if we don't acknowledge those changes as we get older, we do ourselves a disservice. So you're building all of this, you're creating all of this wealth for when you're 70, right? And all you could do is order prune juice and DoorDash because that's what the doctor says
yep.
you're supposed to do. Could you take that trip to Japan at 70? Would your
You
doctor
could,
allow you
you
to
probably
buy?
could.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you could. Would you have enjoyed it as much if you were able to take it at, say, 40, 45,
Oh,
50, 60?
yeah, much more. Yeah,
Exactly.
much more. Yeah,
Right, and that's the whole point. I think we've gotten so used to being told that, okay, this is when you can retire, that we don't think any differently. And you look at the next guy who says, oh yeah, I retired at 40, and you're going, well, what kind of drug is he selling, right? You automatically think it was something nefarious, like he
right.
didn't work hard for that,
Yep.
right? So I think it's about changing our mindset and not being drastic about it, just pinpointing some of the things that we can do, some of the things that we do have control over, and they're so fundamentally basic things that we never thought about,
Yep.
right? When you hear the word wealth creation, um, don't automatically assume that it's about finances, right?
Mhm.
Because finances is a give and take.
Yep.
Time, however, it's one-way street, buddy. It's
That's
a
right.
one-way street. So when you talk about wealth creation, I want you to really, when we talk about it, I really want you to think of it as everything that's important to us as human beings. More time for friends and family,
Yep.
more time with loved ones. The ability to enjoy a nice dinner, as simple as enjoying a nice dinner with friends and family when you need to, whether you cook it or you go out for it,
Hmm.
right? All of these things is wealth creation, because if you're walking away with value from it, then it's a creation of wealth for you, and it
Right.
doesn't have to look like it does for everyone else.
Yeah. And you said something there that I think a lot of people, struggle with is change.
Mm,
You know, we were talking about in the beginning AI, and a lot of people are very much opposed to it. They don't like the idea of it, or they don't grasp it. And those that can understand the ability that it has to free up time for you
mm,
as an individual, right? And that embrace that will actually benefit the most of it. Um, and you're old enough to know that I mean, even phones have come a long way, right?
yeah.
Remember the old rotary phone?
Oh yeah,
It took-
yeah. My
and,
kids
and we
don't know what that is.
and you only had to dial 7 digits, right, to
Yep,
call somebody, and it took 5 minutes for the thing to wind back, after you did each
yep.
one, right? Well, now all you got to do is pick up your phone and say, "Hey Siri," or touch a button and say, "Call whoever," right?
Mhm.
And it automatically dials for you. I actually still have a rotary phone. It's not working, but I still have one.
It's a classic, bro. It's a
It
classic.
is, it
Yeah,
is.
it's a classic.
Yeah, I'm yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But the point is, you know, people need to embrace the changes that are coming, and those who do will take the most advantage of it.
Mm.
And that can build as much wealth as you allow it to. And that wealth, like you said, could be time. It could be, easing up your workload. It could be, finances, or, like we were talking about earlier, bubblegum. Um, I know Dr. Tammy doesn't like that.
Doctor
but
said, no bubble gum, no
no
bubble gum.
bubble gum. But I think that's something that we all need to embrace, and I feel like the adventure that we're on right now is kind of doing that. We are facing things that is aware to everybody, and we are also bringing in things that are new, things that people aren't as familiar with, in Web3, for instance, and AI. Those are things that maybe somebody really has no idea, but because they heard us talking about it or mentioning it, maybe they're going to start looking into it, or maybe they want Yomi just to give a full definition of everything. Um, she's quiet.
Yeah, because Yomi only wants to talk about AI, man, and her obsession. But it makes a good point, though. It makes a good point. Listen, there's this guy I watch all the time on TikTok. I find him engaging. He's funny. He's a teacher, and he talks. Young minds really are just they're savages.
Yep.
Children are savages, man. And so he does this little TikTok about, and he teaches anyway. I think like he's a floating teacher. So sometimes he'll talk about pre-K and I think all the way up to like the fifth grade and some of
Hmm.
the things that the kids said. But at the end of each of his video, he says, "Find your joy, find your joy," and that's so impactful because when we're so busy accumulating, again, in a consumer mindset. We're in a consumer state of mind here in the United States. We don't repair things anymore, right? I remember when I bought this was $1,600 for a 3D TV, first of its kind by Vizio. And I have to tell you, for my family, it was worth every penny, right? Because it was an entertainment value for me versus the cost going out to the movie theater in New York with the three kids where we went to the IMAX. Typically, the price tickets are $15 to $18. And if
Yep.
I'm taking my kids to the movies, say, once a week or once a month, whatever it was, the cost added up. Well, I bought the whole shebang, $1,600 all in, which was unheard of at that time for a TV, right? Like, are you crazy? But we got a lot of use out of it and really enjoyed it. On the move from Brooklyn to Pennsylvania, had a cracked screen,
Mm.
right? I contacted the manufacturer trying to get it repaired. They told me that, oh, we don't repair those. Well, what do you what do you mean you don't repair those? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just better off buying another one.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Like I was just blown away. What business do you know of that produces a physical product this does not offer a repair option?
Right.
That was the thing. They literally said, yeah, you're just better off buying a new one. Like we don't repair. What do you mean you don't repair? I'm still stuck on this. What do you mean you don't repair? Their business was to sell you a new one, period.
Yep.
That's the business. There's no repair option. It's simply replace, 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 replace. And so when you take a look at the consumer mindset that we have now, um, where it's like, okay, it's broken, I'll just get another one,
Right.
right? We're not thinking about how that translates into our everyday life. We only have this one life.
Yep.
There is no, I'll get another life, buddy.
Right.
This is it, right? This is it. And so you have to be intentional and mindful, um, and really find your joy, whatever that looks like for you, with this one life you have, because there is no getting another one. This is it.
Yep. 100%. And that's another mindset that you brought up there is, we are in a disposable age
Mm.
where, manufacturers, they don't have repair services for their products, right? Um, I mean, the last time I had a TV repaired, it was probably 20 years ago. We had a projection TV
Remember
that
those?
I had gotten, as a gift. It was given to me from someone who bought a brand new TV, right? And I'm like, oh, this is great. I had to have that TV repaired probably 5 times, while, in the life that we had it. And it was the same guy that came out to repair it. Well, the last time he came out, he's like, listen, he's like, I'm retiring in 3 months. He's like, I'm not going to be able to come out again, and I don't have anyone to refer you to because there is nobody else.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah, so when it went out the last time, it sat there and was just a big paperweight, and it's a shame. But now you can go buy a TV the same size at Best Buy. It's flat screen and nice and neat, and it costs what, $300,
Yep.
you know but back then those TVs were 5 grand, right?
Yep.
They were outrageously priced. um so yeah, I mean, at $300, if it breaks, well, to get someone to come out to your house, most likely it's going to be at least $100 to get them to walk through your door, let alone
Yep.
fix anything. So
Yep.
at that point, is it worth it to repair it, or do you just replace it? So
Well, what does that say for us as individuals? And what does
mhm,
that mean for us as finances? Because now my whole mindset is, um, if it's replaceable, I don't need it.
yeah,
And this is a recurring theme, guys. Get used to hearing me say this. Excuse me. Is that needs and that wants list,
yep,
right? It's going to come down to that needs and that want list. If it's disposable, right? If you don't care two shits whether you own it or not,
hmm,
it's not a need. It's a want.
yep,
And it's understanding that to find our joy can be so many different things to so many different people. Um, but where do you start when we're all built on that same treadmill? We're all created on that same treadmill, and we're looking over at each other. We're going, "Oh man, I gotta get an edge. I gotta get an edge," because we're all running. We think to the same destination, right? Which is we get to retirement, we get to retirement, we get to retirement, and then we don't have to worry about finances. That's not true. That's not true. The portfolio you have today, is not going to be the portfolio that you have, say, 10 years from now.
hmm,
In understanding that it's a consumer mindset and that everything is disposable, we need to rethink our investment strategy. We need to rethink our time management, and we need to rethink what our joy is for each of us,
yep,
to make sure that when we get to 70, that you know that we're a little more capable than just dialing DoorDash for prune juice. I don't know why that came up, but I don't know. I read that statistic somewhere. I promise you, I read that statistic somewhere. DoorDash is now delivering prune juice to elders. I don't know why. It's there. It's there. But
Prune juice and Ensure, right?
yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. But I want more. I want more. And
Yeah.
I don't feel like I should have to apologize for wanting more. I don't feel like I should have to apologize for demanding more. And I don't feel like I should have to apologize to make my money earn me money.
Right.
I don't feel like I should have to anything to be embarrassed for at my age that I choose to have a conversation about financing and starting with, man, I ain't got none.
Mm-hmm.
I have none. I have no safety net, no nest egg. Um, but I do have a desire to start somewhere.
Yep.
And I think we need to take that shame, that guilt, whatever it is, that emotion that is not contributing in a positive manner, for us to be able to have these conversations, and then add to the conversation, right? Because I want to hear what your strategy is, because maybe it could help me.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. And the best strategy is you got to start.
Yeah.
Period. You got to set your mind to it and begin somewhere. Wherever you are, that's where you need to start. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It can be as simple as, cutting one thing out to free up funds that you can put aside into a savings account, right? Or, maybe you have a small savings account and you want to venture into, traditional investing. It just takes that step to do that initial one, because unless you start, it'll always be, a hope, a wish, a dream, whatever. And we all have the ability to make that a reality. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to do it. And it all starts with, that motivation that we began with,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, motivation and lots of bubble gum. We, uh, yeah, and it's not hard. I'm personally like to invest in things, and I diversify, but I personally like to invest in things that show return more so than just a price increase. So, my stock portfolio, a good portion of that, I would say probably 30% of that is dividends that some of them pay out on a monthly basis. So there's nothing greater than getting that email every month that says you just received the dividend,
Mm.
right? How great is that? My
Yeah.
money is making me more money,
Yeah.
right? And if I look at, well, if I look at those stocks and everything else that I'm invested in, ETFs, just traditional blue chip stocks, crypto, whatever. I mean, it's all down. It's, it's the market that we're in right now, but I still feel good when I get that email that says I received the dividend. And that all began because I started with a savings account and evolved that into an investment account and started putting money into that investment account and doing it on a regular basis where it has become routine. So, we talked about the motivation and changing your routine and making subtle changes. Well, you know, 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago, that's what I did. I started making small changes so I could get to that next level, and then I could get to that next level. And we all hit those roadblocks. We all hit those kickbacks where, it just crushes us, morally, right? And we have to dig ourselves back out. And, I've been there, I've done that. And I'm not where I'd like to be, but you know what? I've done quite a bit. I mean, my wife and I, we've had several businesses. We've gone on, amazing vacations. My son was growing up. It was, inexpensive vacations. I live in Pennsylvania, and we have, within an hour of where I live, I've got Hershey Park and Dorney Park,
Hmm.
right? Both very expensive to go to for a day for a family of three, because not only do you have to pay to get in, but you have to pay for everything in the park. Well, if I drive a little further, there's a place in up above Centralia called Knoebels, and I'm sure you've heard of Knoebels. You're probably in the area.
Great Wolf Lodge was it for my family
Okay.
because it
Well,
was year round. And we in all fairness, we had a buddy that worked there, so we should I be
well,
saying this out loud? Yeah, we didn't pay. Yeah, no.
yeah, but my point is, we had these closer places that we could go that would cost us money. If we drove just a little further, Knoebels is free. You pay as you go. So, I mean, how great is that for a family of three? You go out and then they have a picnic area that you can bring your own food. So, you go to this amusement park, you get to give your family that amusement park experience. It doesn't cost anything to walk in. If you want to go on something, you have to buy tickets. But
Yeah,
the best part about it is the tickets never expire.
I mean,
I still have tickets from 5 years ago, the last time we went with our son, that I could go back today and use them.
I tell you what we started to do, like in the last couple of years was, when you get off of exit 309 off of 80, the Delaware River right there,
Hmm. Yep.
you can buy it was $40 and you got the season pass with
Hmm.
that was just $40 season pass for the parking, and that was it. We started doing that like in the last 2 to 3 years. We started doing that, and the kids seem to really they had a lot because we have the little outdoor tent and you could
Yep.
barbecue, and the water is just amazing,
Mhm.
right? They had the sandy beach, and that, but that's it though. I mean, that's our thing, right? We're from the city, so our thing was getting outside.
Yep.
Right? But we still wanted to do it where there were bathrooms. There were bathrooms, right? Like that was it for us for camping. Like we didn't do that to, come on, we're New Yorkers, bro. If we didn't have a running bathroom there, yeah, no, no, no.
Yep.
Right? So that's what we started doing. They just kind of, and which was surprising, the twins are gonna be 21 this year. Um, and they're not about the Six Flags kind of experience anymore. We did do that when they were a lot younger, but now it seems like, they're really focused. My son, he's really focused in doing his thing in New York. And Hope applied. Oh my God, she hit me this week with, "Oh yeah, mom, Kisua, her best friends in New York goes, yeah, I applied for a credit card, and now of course I'm having heart palpitations, right? Like,
Wow.
please, because we have this discussion all the time,
Mhm.
utilizing credit wisely. And I
Yep.
go, she was like, yeah, they give you free money. I'm like, no, no, like, no, it's not free money. You have to pay it back. She said, yeah, they give you time to pay it. I'm like, no, no, no.
Yep.
What did you do? She was like, oh yeah, I was with Kissy when I applied for this, and we applied for a Discover card and we got it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be watching the mailbox for the next 6 weeks now, making sure that it comes, and I go like this. No, no, not happening, kid. But they're really focused. I think, as for young people
Mhm.
surprisingly, um, as I got more and more in control of wanting financial freedom and having these conversations with them, I'm really surprised to see how their mindset are changing.
Mhm.
And see, this is really important for you to understand. One, as a parent, or two, just as a friend. Um, when you start creating the changes that you want in your life, it can become a ripple effect for the people around you, and it can be a positive one.
Yep.
That's not to say that you're not going to have those around you that be like, man, you just became cheap. No, right? Because now you're no longer the buddy that wants to go out on Friday night and go hang out and drink and spend money unnecessarily. Now you have a goal in mind. So it's a different kind of conversation, right? Man, let's go hang out. Nope, can't afford it. What do you spend your money on? Um, yeah, I got things I want, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of a dual-edged sword. You'll find people that would appreciate you for that, and continue to encourage you. And then you're gonna have those. It's gonna be like, man, I can't hang with you no more. You're cheap.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, again, going back to that needs and that wants list, and what that really means. for you. But I think as we end our hour here, um, I know two financial advisors that I'm going to see if we can get one of them on the show next week.
Oh,
Because
that'd be fantastic.
yeah, because one of the things, we talk about just opening up a bank account, right? But
Yep.
what if we wanted to have a little bit more information on what the kind of stocks you talk about, right? What if I decided, hey, you know what? You're talking about my money earning money. That's a dividend. I need to know more about what that is and how do I do that?
Yep.
Most banks, bro, if you're not stepping in with 50K, they're not going to have a conversation with you. They're
Hmm.
not going to have a conversation with you. So now you're kind of like, mm, right? And you're like, well, I want to save, but nobody will talk to me. So we
Yep.
get that. We get that. And these are both certified individuals to give that financial advice. And trust me, I will be tuning up and tuning in, pen and paper to take some notes. So wish me luck this week that we get one of them to come on the show and we can take advantage and ask some really great questions and see how, we can continue on this journey together.
Absolutely. And another topic that we should definitely have in the future is credit, because I get it, your
Oh,
daughter and the credit card, but but people with excellent credit have more advantages than without. And
you have met Hope, right?
you, you gotta you gotta share with her the responsibility of what that means to
Oh
have
my
that.
God.
But having some means of credit and showing that you use it responsibly and building your score up can benefit you in the long run. So at some point, right, she may need to get a car. At some point, she may want to buy a house,
Yes.
right? At some
Fair enough.
point, she may need to take out a business loan for a small business, right? These are all reasons why you want to have excellent credit, because if you do have excellent credit, those rates are much more reasonable than if you don't. And if you don't have excellent credit, that opportunity might not even be there for you. So,
I did it for my son when he turned 18. And
mhm.
they're twins, guys. I did it for him. I didn't do it for her because she still lives at home with me. In the easiest way, and this was actually just a tip from a friend. It says, he wanted to stay in New York, and I was just kind of concerned. So I had a credit card with like only a $500 limit. I added him as an authorized user at 18.
Mhm.
I think it was last year. He's like, Mom, I want to get a car. So I'm like, bro, a car is really, really expensive, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't believe mom, so he wanted to go do his own thing. He goes to a dealership, and I'm so grateful that as difficult as he can be sometimes, that he picked up the phone and he called and he's like, "Hey, mom, they're offering me this $50,000 car." He's 19.
Oh, geez, no.
Because at that, not unbeknownst, and all I did with that little $500 credit card, I just added him as an authorized user,
Yep.
gave him the card. He was in New York, and I told him only use it in case of emergencies. He's never used it. But I think I had like a revolving bill that I just paid monthly on it,
Yep.
which was maybe $65. That was it, maybe $65, and it just
Yep.
got paid automatically, right? He had a 750 credit score.
Yep.
Walking into a dealership
Yep.
in New York, talking about, yeah, we could get you into this, buddy. I'm like, yeah, no, right? But what I realized with him was he was hip to it. He was like, yeah, you don't get nothing for free. Number
Mhm.
one. That kind of payment is as much as I pay my aunt for rent, right? As much as I pay my aunt for rent. Um, and I don't think my mom will let me get something like that. That was literally what he said. He picked up the phone and called me. But I had forgotten that I had added him on that card just for emergency. It wasn't a big balance. It was a little bill that just got paid automatically every month. But now my kid is about to be 21 with a 700 plus credit score
Yep.
that understands that the minute he signs his name for something, he takes on the responsibility of a debt,
Yep.
meaning that he owes someone something, right? That it's not for free.
All right, let's stop there, because I think this would be a good topic for a future freedom space.
Got you.
Um, because there's so much to be said about uh, how to dig yourself out, how to start, and how to be responsible with it, and how it can benefit you. But yeah, I totally agree with what you've done with your son, and I just wanted to add that I think it'd be a great episode for the future. But looking forward to hopefully having a financial advisor on next week. That would be
Yes, we have
fantastic.
to that I'll reach out to. Really, really excited for that. Really excited.
That would be great. Yomi, any words of insight? Look into your crystals and inspire us.
We just gotta
I think,
took over for
We're
you.
not gonna talk about crystals because if I told y'all what I did this week, you probably have a fit. So we
Open a business. Did you open an online crystal store?
that's what I well, okay, let's just say I bought crystals to fund my first sales.
Oh, congratulations! Are we
nice.
celebrating?
We're not celebrating yet because I
Okay.
I basically okay, someone asked me about I wear a crystal every day. So someone asked me about one of my crystals at work and I told them and I was like, yeah, I got this, that, and the third. And the guy was like, can you find me one of them? I said, I'll look for one. I said, I got plenty of them at home. I'll see if I can find one. Well, I couldn't find one, so I went shopping. And I had this conversation with my husband, and I said, dude, I think I could really do this. I really want to do this. I could like legitimately buy crystals, dude, for fun and make money in the process. So I ordered this astronomical amount of crystals. I've been working, I've been saving, and I didn't really have the intention of doing it, but it was kind of an impulse. So
Hmm.
I did it. So my husband looks at me and he says, okay, you can't you can't backpedal off of this. He said, you have to go forward. If you spent that money, you're
Hmm.
going to have to make this work. So now just the factor of accountability. so,
Ah, I like it.
so I have to make this work. And it's just fear of me actually stepping out. I'm sure and I'm very confident that I can do it. It's just the fear of, of well, what if I can't? And my husband's like, I'm sorry, that's not a factor. You're gonna have to make this work. You spent the money,
Yep.
better make it work. So that's where I'm at.
I feel you with the fear. I
Yep.
feel you. I really do feel you with the fear. I have made this has been the longest down week, right, Scott? For me, I think I've not. I think this has been the longest just this week, right?
Yeah.
Because it was since last week that I
Yep.
haven't been actively working on the business. And I said I wanted to, I wanted to utilize my time. I was taking the doctor's orders and resting, but I wanted to use some of my free time. And I got to tell you, Scott, for me, that budget, it was fear. So
Yep.
I totally feel you on that, Yomi. Like here we are talking about, oh yeah, just start. And I'm like, oh yeah, no. I have actively made one excuse after another this entire down week that I could have been creating the budget for the business
Yep.
expenses. And going, yeah, no, I just don't feel like it today. I'm not, no, I don't feel well. Just like, out of fear, out of fear. And I don't know why I'm afraid. I just know that I'm afraid to see on paper what I've spent so far on the business.
Yeah.
Even though rationally I know that I am committed to the long haul, I'm committed to the cause. I know that um, the end goal is going to be profit. I'm just
Mhm.
scared to take a look at what I'm spending now. So you're
Yeah.
not alone with that fear. So I think we need Dr. Tammy when she's back for us to have this panel. And maybe hopefully you can get Megan to join us because fear can look like a lot of different things. It does not necessarily have to be with business. It's just fear of taking that next step forward.
Right.
I'd love to have a conversation on that where it talks about not just bubblegum, but just in general to being our most true authentic self and living our best and finding our joy,
Yep.
right, is being able to push past that fear. So really exciting things are going to be coming up, I think, in the next couple of weeks for us.
Absolutely. And congratulations, Yomi, on your first steps to entrepreneurism.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes,
Well,
yes. Congratulations.
it's not exactly my first step, so I can't say I haven't been
no.
down the road before. But
Okay.
it's just it's not real. And the thing about it is when Michelle was talking, And I'm like, so what kind of fear is it? So I started asking myself that question, like, what kind of fear do you have? And it's not even fear of failure, it's fear of success. So it's like
Mm.
it's kind of like excitingly crazy, but I almost want to hold myself back because what if this does work and what if it does take off? So
Yep.
it's not even a fear of it not doing that. It's like inside I kind of know exactly what's going to happen.
Yep. Been there. Got a story about it. We'll save that for another space. But no, that's awesome. And, wish you the best of luck. You have any questions or need anything, by all means, always feel free to reach out to me. But I think with that, we are 10 minutes over our hour.
Yes.
So I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. MNFT episode 5 is in the books.
Big five.
Big 5. Yep. Next week, we'll be at episode 6. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a financial advisor joining the panel and discussing, some investment strategies and, legitimate financial advice or bubblegum advice. And, and this episode will just brand the bubblegum and prune juice episode.
Yep, pretty much. Bubblegum or prune juice, buddy.
Bubblegum and prune juice. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining, and we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.